It's kind of really in the point where we should start to see things change and narratives change fast. That's what I'm really focused on. This next 2 months of economic data, if it's not a lot worse than expected, then every single, I produced in that GMI, you saw it's like 60 charts, all showing the same thing. I've never seen anything like this before. For them all to be wrong would be simply staggering. So we'll see. When you've got a managed economy, crisis rolls slowly. Don't forget, Japan's still unwinding its demographic bust and its bubble from 1990 because it's quite managed in how it does things. So the Chinese economy is an issue. There's been excess leverage, excess capacity built at every level, and they're going to have to manage this. And what they want is a managed decline. They know it's a problem. Chinese economists, central bank, politicians are a very smart bunch. They understand their economy very well. They understand the issue that they've got. But at margin, firstly, it's going to create stimulus because they're going to have to stimulate. So that's going to be positive at the margin for risk assets. But also, it's going to keep the Chinese economy from not demanding as much stuff. China's never going to go back and build the same amount of bridges and apartment buildings again unless it knocks them all down and starts again. Those days have gone. Yes, they're a big demand, but it's the rate of change that matters, and the Chinese rate of change of demand is not going to go up. The single most powerful thing you can understand is how much risk you're running. And what you tend to find is the closer your stop loss, the less risk you run unless you use leverage. So you can use leverage, but you have to run a tighter stop loss because leverage is increase the size of your position. You'll lose more of your original capital because leverage is the extra capital on top. So stop losses are different for different people. I'm not a big stop loss. I'm more of like, this trade is not working. I allow myself a lot of wiggle room because I'm longer term. Only when I'm really applying to a trade where I'm going all in, will I then start thinking about, okay, I need to be more careful here because I've got a lot of risk. And so therefore I'll think of stop losses for part of the position, all of the position, take profits, all of that kind of stuff. The hardest part is not stopping out of a trade, it's actually taking profits. It's bloody hard, particularly in long-term trades. Look back immediately and go, well, look what happened in 2008. Your 2008 was a very unique event. That was a massive credit event. 2000, well, the economy didn't go down a lot, but there was massive speculation in equities. We haven't seen the same. We've had excess liquidity, some excess speculation, but not of the scale of then. Most people who comment on that didn't live through it. I lived through it. I was running a hedge fund at the time. I was all over it. It's very, very, very different environment. We saw elements of it last year. At the very peak of the markets, we saw elements of that, but it's still extremely different. I know the Fed want to get to 4%, but my work suggests that the economic data will fall apart too fast for that to happen.
This is federal funds rate for people who aren't following this as close.
That's right. So that's the official interest rate from the Federal Reserve. I don't think they will potentially get there because the economic data will fall apart faster. So maybe they do a 50 basis points in September, and then they're kind of like, do we do 25? Do we just wait and watch the data? Because they've said they'll go data dependent. And if the data falls apart, 2 months is not a lot of time. So maybe they get 2 rate rises in, maybe they only get 1 in. I think it's going to be difficult if I'm right about the economic data this month. I think it's going to be really hard for them to do 75. I think they'll go 50. They've already said it's 50-50 anyway, whether they'll go 75 or 50. And then we should start to be getting to the grips of the massive slowdown in the economy that I foresee, and therefore they might not get to the 4%. But they will pause and wait. They're not going to cut immediately. That's not going to happen. But they're going to pause and wait. The Eurodollar market and Fed funds market says they start cutting next year, and it keeps moving around when they start that. But that's what they're thinking. The other big part of the equation is the dollar. The dollar is the key asset of all assets. It is 80% of all world's trade is priced in dollars. So if the dollar goes up or down, it matters. The dollar is driven by global liquidity as well. And there's massive dollar borrowings around the world. First is, when does it happen? At best is, maybe it doesn't happen. So we all understand the risk, but it's geopolitics. We have no idea how this plays out. I understand that the Russian situation put it to the forefront of people's minds, and it's definitely a possibility. But I don't think China wants to cut itself off from the world, and I don't think the US wants to cut itself off from China yet. So I don't think it's in anybody's interest. It's kind of this stalemate situation where it kind of rises up. It's like North Korea, South Korea. It's not a solution where anybody actually wants to pull the trigger, but they want a position until maybe they can find an opportunity one way or the other to resolve it. Back a bit, maybe house prices come down 10 to 15%. Net, it's still up from where it was. But, if you're looking at buying a house, you'll probably get it cheaper. But if you're looking at buying a house, you probably can't afford it right now because your mortgage has gone up and you're not earning as much money. So, and also worry about unemployment. That will not help the housing market. So the housing market is going to cool off.
That's it for today, guys. If you found this video useful, then don't forget to like the video and share this knowledge with your friends and family. And don't forget to check out the full video, link is in the description. Thank you.